policy associate with the Southern Poverty Law Center and the SPLC Action Fund. We are here today with our community partners to support the efforts under the Gold Dome to pass tuition equity bills that would allow immigrant students to access affordable higher education. The first to speak is Emiko Soltis from the Freedom University.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Laura Emiko Soltis, and I serve as the director of Freedom University. Freedom U is an underground school for undocumented students in Georgia who've been banned from admission to this state's top public university. State tuition throughout the state. At Freedom University, we provide free college-level classes and help students apply to welcoming colleges across the country. Last year alone, 50% of our students won full scholarships to college, many to distant states like Connecticut and Vermont. And through our collective work, we successfully convinced Emory in 2015 to admit and provide full financial aid to undocumented students. And just this past year, we helped Oglethorpe University join the Dream.US initiative to admit and provide full scholarships to undocumented students. But while the private sector here in Georgia has stepped up to welcome the state's undocumented young scholars, Georgia's public universities are stuck in reverse. More than 23 states in the country allow undocumented students to qualify for in-state tuition, including states like Florida, Kentucky, and Texas. They do this because they recognize that in-state tuition allows a state to capitalize on its investment of every student's K-12 public education, as required under federal law. They do this because they recognize that making higher education less accessible to their state's undocumented students is economically stupid. Requiring out-of-state tuition that most undocumented families cannot afford effectively sends thousands of talented, multilingual, hardworking young people educated here in this state to another state, where they will receive a quality higher education in another state, make more money in another state, and contribute higher taxes in another state. The motto of the University System of Georgia is to create a more educated Georgia. But without in-state tuition, we are sending our state's talented undocumented students elsewhere. A more accurate motto for Georgia, then, is creating a more educated Connecticut, or perhaps a more educated Vermont. But jokes aside, I'm here today to speak as a citizen, and perhaps as the only citizen in the country who teaches in a classroom where every student is undocumented. I have a duty to share what I have seen and what I have learned in my classroom. In my classroom, I have students whose undocumented fathers were recruited to Atlanta to build the roads and stadiums to help the city prepare for the 1996 Olympics. Many of my students came to Georgia as children to reunite with their families. In-state tuition honors the contributions of these families to our state because they are Georgians too. In my classroom, I have a talented football player who was recently recruited by the University of Georgia football team, but just recently found out that he is barred from admission and in-state tuition because of his immigration status. He's now considering studying and playing football at Harvard and Georgetown. Rescinding Board of Regents Policy 416 and granting in-state tuition here in the Georgia legislature would keep him here. Go Dogs. In my classroom, I have students with terrible GPAs. They quit trying in high school when they realized they were barred from admission and in-state tuition here in Georgia. Young people shouldn't have to be valedictorians or exceptional students just to have the opportunity to go to college. In-state tuition makes that possible. In my classroom, I have helped my students and their parents pay their taxes. Undocumented immigrants in Georgia contribute an estimated $352 million annually in state taxes. They are funding the universities they are barred from attending, and without the legal right to vote, they are experiencing taxation without representation. In-state tuition would balance the scales of justice. In my classroom, I have students who have been deeply traumatized by family separations and deportations in a country that purports to uphold family values. I have students who have contemplated or attempted suicide because of their sense of helplessness in this state. In-state tuition would give them hope. And in my classroom, I see undocumented young people who we as Americans honestly don't deserve. We don't deserve them. I see young people who are still kind and generous in a country that has denied their very humanity. In-state tuition is literally the very least we can do. Thank you.